So tonight we want to look at styling. Okay. To style your application, you can use inline styling like this. Let's start with that. Inline styling. So let's say I want to style this div. I can come here and say style. Then inside this div you supply like inside this place you supply an object. You know this curly braces means you want to add JavaScript syntax, dynamic codes, right? You want to add dynamic codes. So inside this place you supply an object. I can set the background color to the right. So when we get to the value, we have this here like this. Question so far? Any question? Note the way this color is written. In CSS, it's written like this, but this is going to throw back an error. It's going to throw an error for you. So that's why you make use of camel casing. But if it's just a single word like color, maybe the text color. So the text color is I think white is good on red. So this is like the, but if you are combining two words, those ones that are joined with hyphen, maybe padding top, padding bottom, margin top, margin left, margin right, those ones are written in camel casing. So this margin top will be like this, margin top like this. Then the value the pixel white. Oh, sorry. So this is how you style inline. We want to use inline styling. Let's proceed. Let's say you want to use dynamic styling. That is, you want to use a particular style based on some certain conditions, right? If this condition is met, I want to use this style. If it's not met, I want to use another style. So let's do that together. Sorry, someone wants to join the class. Please, if you have any question, call my attention to it. So I'll get a state. So I want to add two buttons, two buttons. So what I'll do is that let's remove everything here for now. I can have a div. Welcome to my class. Hope you can still hear me. Okay. Enoch, you are welcome to class. We are not saying anything. Please, can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
Alright, okay, alright, thank you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So let's say this is the first button, and let's say this is the second button. So when you click on this button, the value of var, let's say it goes to 2. Right. So we can say unclick. So the value of r becomes 2. When you click on this, the value of r goes back to 1. So I just copy this as it is there. Okay, someone is using up user hand. I think someone used up user hand just now. Okay, make a mistake. If you have any question, kindly let me know. Okay, let's move on. So I'll copy this and just paste it here. So based on this, when you click on this button, this one, the value of r becomes 2. When you click on this, the value of r becomes 1. So we can say that if var is 1, we want this background color to be red. But if it is 2, we want the background color to be yellow. Do you understand? So we can say background color so we can now say if var is equal to 1, then the background color should be red, else it should return yellow. So if it is 1, it will be red. If it's anything else, it will be yellow. Now we want the text color to always be white. We can do that. We can say text color. So this will be white irrespective of the value of whether var is 1 or anything. The text color will always be white, but the background color will keep changing between red and yellow. So let's run that together. Click yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. Now this is a bit rough. Let's make it a bit better. So we can create a variable out here. We can say obj my style. So we cut this object out of this place, and we set it like this. So my style, we now put the object my style. So this is also fine. So increase a bit later. Any questions so far? Then one thing that is commonly used is the boolean. The value of var can be true right from beginning. So when you click on this changes the value of var to false. This changes it back to true. So instead of saying if var equals to 1, you can say if var. This is like saying if var is true, let the background color be red. Else, that if it is false, let the background color be yellow. We still have the same result like it did there. So this is for inline styling. Fine. So let's see. This is for inline styling and internal styling. But let's look at situations whereby you want to make use of external styling in your code. But before we move on, who has questions on what we've looked at so far? Okay, in answers of questions, let's move on. Okay, someone is raising up hand. Okay, Sharifat, Kisley, you have a space. Hello? Your voice is not coming out. Your voice is not coming out. I can't tell you. Okay. Oh, okay, Kisley, you can go on, sir.
Sir, in those style color,
Okay.
are you not using any conditional statements? Are you not using any conditional statement? Because Is what I'm seeing here like?
This is a conditional statement. This is ternary operator.
Okay, 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 okay.
No, operator. What this means is that,
Okay, sir.
let's say, let's go to vanilla JavaScript. Let's say I have a variable a is 5. You know, if you are using if statement, you're going to do something like this. If a, let's say if a is greater than 2, let's say we have a variable here, variable b. So I can say let b be equals to, let's say, taille, else b equals to Kenny. Now, so if this condition is to b will be taille, but if this condition is not to b will be Kenny. But based on this now, since a is greater than 2, it means b will be taille, right? If I say maybe console log b, that will be taille, right?
Yeah.
Now, instead of writing all of this, we can shorten it using ternary operator. We can say if b is greater than 2, we put a question mark. Whatever we put after this question mark will be returned if this condition is true. So return taille. Then we put a colon after. That is, if this condition is false, whatever is after this colon will be returned. Returned Kenny.
Okay.
So what we can now do is that whatever we return, whether taille or Kenny, we can now save it. Oh, sorry. If a is greater than 2, return taille, else return Kenny.
Kenny.
So whatever we return now, we can now save it in a variable like this. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So that's the same thing we are doing here.
Okay.
If that is, no, this is like saying if is true, right? If this is true, return red, else return yellow. So if this is true, it will return red. If this is false, it will return yellow. Do you understand it?
Yes, sir. Cleared. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, let's move on. So let's look at how to deal with external styling. To do that, let's use this file. This is one that came with Reactjs. In fact, to explain this here, because of what I will still explain later. So I will delete all of this, and we're going to create 2 new components to explain external styling. How to undo external styling in Reactjs. I don't think we even need these states here. Okay. So I'm going to create a CSS folder. Then I'll put all my CSS codes inside that folder. So here's the CSS folder. So whatever CSS I want to use, I'll put it inside this folder. So let's get a file inside that. I'll call that first.css. Then for my JS, let's get one here. I'll create a file called first.javascript. Then I'll create another file called second.javascript. So as it stands now, we have 2 JavaScript files, and both of them will stand for components. This will be a component, this will be another component. Let's write some cost there. Cost first equals to this. So inside this now, let's return. Let's put h1 here. I am the first component. And let's put a button there too. Oops, sorry. Just cut this, put it inside this div. Yeah. So I'll call this first btn. So we have the first component. This component has h1 and a btn in it. Let's return it. Return first. I'll copy everything here and paste it in second, then make some adjustments to it. Okay, so we have two components now, first and second. Let's import the two of them in the Reactjs so that we can see them on the screen. Okay, let's check on the browser if we have them so that we can proceed. Well, first is not defined, second is not defined. Oh, you didn't auto import. Oh, didn't I say export defaults? Oh, sorry.
Export defaults.
My bad, sorry. Okay, now we can go to our Reactjs now and import the two of them. Okay, so the two files are now here. First is not defined. Okay, good. I'm the first component, I am the second component. So we have our two components here already. Let's move on. So what we want to do now is that we want to write some styling in this first.css. So I'll say, let's just say first class. I want let's just say something simple. Background color to be, let's use our red and white. That's for this. Then let's get another one, second class. Background color to be, no, we're not using background color. Let's use padding. This one we use for the button. Padding, let's say 30 pixel. Right, there's it. So we have two things here, the first class and the second class. What we are going to do now is that we go to this first.js and we import this file so that we can make use of this styling. Do you understand? Hello everybody.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, thank you. So you can say import. To import a CSS file is a bit different from that of JS. CSS slash the name of the file, which is first.css. You know, in JavaScript you're going to tell us what you are importing from that file. But in this case, just import the file. You later import the file, everything in that file becomes available here. So we come here now and we want to use this class, this class, first class here. By importing the file, everything inside this place now becomes available here. So we come here and we say we can't use the word class. Reason is because this is a JavaScript file. In JavaScript, the word class is a keyword. So React has given us another thing called class name. In HTML, CSS, you would have used class, because when you use dots like this, dot means class, right? Hash is for ID in HTML, CSS. But in this case now, because this is the extension here is JS or JSX, anyone. Now, the extension, whatever the extension, whether JS or JSS, you can't use class here because class is a keyword in JavaScript, and that's going to cause issues. So instead, we are given class name to use instead. So this is doing the same thing as what your class will do in HTML. So what class do we want to use? First class. So when we run it, that becomes available here. It becomes here. Let's run this code. You see everything is working fine. Any question before we move on? Okay. Now, what we want to do is that we create another file so that we understand. I want to explain something very important here. I'll call this one second.css. For this second.css, okay, what I will do now is I will just cut all of this second one from this place. Yeah, I think. Let's paste it here. We have two files, the first.css and the second.css. In the first.css, we have just a single class. In the second.css also, we also have just a single class. So what we want to do is that we want our button to have this style here, our button to have this style here. But not the button in the first one. What I'm saying is not this button. But instead, we want it to be this button, this second button. So what we can do is that we come to this second.js file, we import if you are lost, come attention to it, please. So you can come here and say class name, second class, and instantly you see that this button gets bigger. So everything is working fine. Everything seems to be working fine until we add this. Let's now make a little adjustment. And what I want to explain here, I want you to pay attention to it, please. Everything is working fine as expected until you now come here and you say class name second class. Note, in my first.css, there is no class here called second class. So ordinarily, you expect this not to work. Are you with me? Please, are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you. We are importing from first.css, meaning that we are importing what we have inside this file. And we only have one class here, so that means we should only be able to use this. And when I say second class, since there is no second class in this file, then this is not expected to work. But when you get to the browser, you see it work. It's also big, which shouldn't be. So why is it like that? Let's look at that together. The reason is this. When you import a file like this, what CSS does is that, let's go to the browser and look at our elements. What React does is this. Go to under elements, then go to the head, scroll down. So it adds this as part of the head. This is the first one, and this is the second one. So that means inside any file, any of my file whatsoever, I can make use of this dot first class. I can make use of this class name. Do you understand? Hello?
Sir, not too clear though. Please
Okay.
come again, sir.
Let's go right again. So the problem is this. We imported this first.css into this first.js file. And since we only have just a single class in the first.css, normally this should not work because there is no second class inside this place, right? Do you understand that problem before we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the problem is this. Once you import a file in a JavaScript file in Reactjs, once you import a CSS file like this, what React does is that it goes to this page, index.html. You know this, I told you at maybe our very first or second class that this is what is being loaded on the browser, right?
Yes.
So what it does is that it's going to add a style tag here, then import it here inside this index.html. So what it's going to do is that it will go to this, it will go to my index.html, then take whatever is here and import it here. That's what you have here. this tag. You can see this
Okay.
on the header, on the head tag. Do you understand?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So it's going to add it here. And whatever you had here becomes available to any component on the page. Do you get it? It becomes
Okay.
available. Once it's going to add it to this place now, it becomes available to, sorry, I think someone is asking a question. Okay, Enoch. Okay, okay. It's how they act up, but you can stop that behavior, and that's we are still going to check out too, in case you don't want that to happen, right? You want, but what I'm trying to do now is to first introduce the problem to us, know that this problem exists. Then we now look at how to solve this problem. Do you understand? Now, by importing it in this place, really, it's an advantage because if you want to make use of the same class in different components, it becomes easy. You don't need to create separate files and all of that. If just like we just did here, we're able to use the second class here. So if I need to make use of a class name inside multiple components, this makes it very easy to do. Do you get it? Are you with me? Okay. So when you import a file like this, it comes to this index.html. It will be added here as one of the style, and it becomes available to any component on the page. So any component can make use of all of this styling, all the styling inside this place, and also all the styling inside this second dot CSS. Any component can make use of it. Now, in case you don't want that behavior, or you want that styling to just be limited to that component, then you can make use of something we call module. But before we look at that, let's scroll down more so that we look at something. Scroll down. I can't hear you well. I think someone is talking. Okay. So this is it. This for the first, you can see first class, the styling is there. This for the second class, the styling is there. Then when you can now scroll down to where the component is. This is where our component is. We have this first class here, and we have this second class here. Then is another component again. We have this second class there. So let's move on from here. So in case you don't want it, you can make something we call module. So we change this now from just a file to module.css. The name. CSS. So when you make use of module, the style is not going to spill out to other components. And of course, we need to make a little adjustments. Instead of this .css, this becomes just module.css. Then let's go to the second. This becomes module.css. Okay. So let's see what happens in this case. Now, if you're making use of module, you make a little adjustments in your import, the way you import. Instead of just import directly now, you give it a name, any name. It can be any name of your choice. I can call it styles from this. So everything inside this file now will be sent here as an object called styles. If there are multiple stylings here, let's say there are multiple classes, IDs and all of that here, all of them will be properties of these styles. So if I want to make use of this first class now, this is not going to be like this again. Instead, it becomes styles dot, which property do I need there? The name of this is first class dot first. class. Do you understand? If I'm making use of a module, this is how you now import it. You give it a name. So whatever name you give it now, you can now access whatever you need to access. So instead of this being second class now, this becomes stars. Now there is no class here called second class, right? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So if there's no class there called second class, so if I do it like this, it will not work because there's no class there called second class, but we are going to leave it like that. Then I go to this second.js and do the same thing. In fact, let's even give them the same name. And instead of this being this, we just do it the same way. Styles dot I think this is just second class alone, second class. So I think it's going to work just as we want it now. So what happens there is that because there is a class, there is a styling inside this styles, this second class module called second class, this will work fine. And for this, there is a styling here called first class, but there's no styling there called second class, right? Because there's no styling there called second class, this will not work. This will not work. So when you get to the browser, we have this result. This is for this one. You can see only this button is big. This second button is no longer big. This is not working. Why is it like that? Let's check our elements again. Now look at what happens at this place. Style. Note this. It's going to give it a unique ID, something like an ID. Do you understand? You're going to give it something
Yes,
like
sir.
an ID. And check this also. Check this also. Once it's a module, it will give it like a unique ID. The meaning of that is that at this point, let's make this bigger a bit. So at this point, it is bringing in that first class dot that unique ID. That's what it's doing is that let's come here. This here is using that unique ID to style this, and because it can't find second class there, you can see this is empty. Do you get it? This is empty because inside this first class there is no so inside this first dot module dot css, there is no class in it called second class because it can't find any class therein called second class. You can see it leaves this as empty. It's not attaching any style to it. It's not. Then let's go to this point. It also gives this a unique ID and is able to use that unique ID to target this one. So if you don't, the summary of all I've discussed so far is that if you don't want the styling to spill to other components, you can make use of CSS module. And to make use of the module, you give it a name. Then from the link, the path to the CSS file, then you now use as an object. All of these styles, let's say you have another one here, that let's say my style. So let's say I want this style should be let's say my button. I want the color of the button now, the text color of my button. I want it to be orange, and I want the background color to be white. Yeah. So I can make use of this now here. So this can be my style. So you can see the color is white. The color is white. Let's make it bigger a bit. We go back here now. You can say pattern. I just use 5 pixel or 10 pixel. Okay, this is like this. yeah, and border, border 0 pixel. So let's remove the border. Good. So we can have something like this. So it's only affecting this. Do you understand now? It's only affecting this. Even if I go to another component and I make use of this same thing, styles dot my star. That is, if I go to where is this second component and this is my star, it will not work here. The reason is because inside this file there is no class in it called my style. That's just the sum. So you can say it's not affecting this. It's only affecting this. So if you don't want the styling to spill to other components, you make use of the module. But if you want it to spill to other components, you just import it directly. Any questions so far?
Sorry, using it the style extension, like the CSS extension without the model, does that mean like when you want to declare a global styles for your
Exactly.
work?
Yes, yes. You want to declare a global style. You can make it. You can just say the name.css. It will be global.
All right. Then another question is having the CSS file extension, like a separate file for CSS, and declaring the CSS within the within the component itself. Which is
Okay.
better?
Well, external CSS will always be cool. Reason is this: if you are declaring it here, you're actually writing JavaScript codes. Although the JavaScript code will end up being converted to CSS, but uh, when you have a separate CSS file, one advantage it gives you is that in case you want to reuse that code elsewhere, it's possible. In fact, when you are building applications, let's use Facebook for example, you notice the blue, if you're on Facebook, you notice the blue color everywhere. So in case you want to use a style, you won't have to rewrite it again. You just bring in the file. So having external CSS file will always be better than this, except uh, even is that even an exception? Well, maybe just except if you just for a single as an element, you just only want to use it for that element and all. But if aside that, I will advise that you make use of external CSS file. Any other question?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Then, one more thing before we go. You can also use conditional class. Conditional class name. In case, let's look at this. Let's use it for a conditional class name. Which one will be the best? I'm coming. Let's just copy this instead of writing it. Just copy this. Then bring it in here. So we have two styles for button. This we want to use for button. We also want to use this for button. If some conditions are true, we want a button to use this style. If some conditions are false, we want the button to use this style. Let's say, let's use green and red. Green, like go on, red stop, just like traffic light. Going, go ahead, red stop. So let's just set the background color to be green. In all of this, let's set our text color to be white for all of them. Right. Then we just copy this. Yes. No, right. Instead of calling this second, I'll call this another class. Okay. So if some conditions are true, use this. Else, use this class. So we can go to our component and say, let's say we have a state here. So we can now say if this is true, then use this. else use another thing. You come here and say if var, then return styles that what name did you call this? My style. Else return styles that's another class. So if the value of var is 2, it will return, it will use this, else it will use this. So let's just add a button, add something that we can use to toggle the value of var. So we can say button, just say change var. When we click on this and click, change the value of var to the opposites. Set it to not var. So it will just set it to the opposite. If it's 2, it will change it to false. If it's false, it will change it back to 2. So if var is 2, it will use my star. If it's false, it will use another class. Let's check it on the browser if everything is working fine. So it's changing the class, right? It's changing the class programmatically. We can then, instead of writing my style, so instead of writing styles, then writing styles again, you can, let's see if you can make a little adjustment here. You can say, maybe we want to destructure this out of it. Let's try that. I want to destructure my style. I want to destructure another class. So that I won't have to always say stars that. Oops. This was not found. I'm coming. We can do something like this. Yeah, so this should work now. Good. So what we are doing is that we are destructuring this so that we won't have to always say styles dot something, styles dot something. Any questions so far? Hello everybody. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Hope you are getting it.
Yes, sir. I'm following.
Okay. Okay, so this is how you can make use of dynamic class name in Reactjs, and all of these things make your application lovely, right? So let's stop here tonight. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Yeah.